I think that most people, if they were to make a list of things that they were proud of about the United Kingdom, the SAS and the SBS would be relatively high on those lists. It wouldn't be in the top 10 for everyone, but I think that the skills and professionalism of British forces are only matched by the appalling and chronic underfunding that they suffer from. But not everyone agrees with us on that. Some people think that they've behaved badly and we ought to be ashamed of them. And some of those people are Liberal Democrats. You're not going to believe the story that I'm about to tell you. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all of my videos as soon as they are released. Well, I have mixed emotions about Afghanistan. I have to say to you that it was an appalling defeat, probably the worst defeat the United States of America has suffered since Vietnam. But it never really needed to be that way, did it? The reason I say that is because the whole plan originally by the United States of America was to go in and to break up the Al-Qaeda network. Now, that was done very, very quickly. I think it was about 4 weeks it took. Now, they didn't get bin Laden right at that moment, but kind of, and I don't mean it to sound like this when I say who cares, but who cares? He was operationally crippled. So the fact that he was locked down in his compound, unable to do anything, made him operationally irrelevant, even though they hadn't actually caught him. But anyway, then we came across this whole nation building thing, which was why it turned into a complete and total shambles. It's a tribal area. It always has been a tribal area, as the Russians discovered. The whole thing turns into a complete and total mess. Anyway, when we cut and ran, a number of things were dreadfully bad about that. One of them was the equipment that was left for the Taliban. It was the biggest, I think it's the biggest single piece of military aid ever given from one country to another. I might be wrong on that, but the United States of America to the Taliban, it was in the billions, the many billions that was spent on that equipment that the Afghan National Army handed over to the Taliban. Anyway, as part of the scheme, there was the Afghan relocation scheme, which Afghan resettlement scheme rather. Anyway, as part of the scheme, various people were able to come to the United Kingdom, and probably rightly so, but it was controversial simply because some people were very worried about interpreters who weren't able to come to the United Kingdom because of the transport problems. But then there were other people who got in when I wasn't really convinced by this. Let me tell you about a guy I saw on the TV who was a chef at the British Embassy in Kabul. He was given, get this, a passport for himself, a passport for the wife, council house, benefits, 5 children, benefits, free education for the children, free healthcare for all of them, 7. His brother, passport, brother's wife, passport, 5 children, all passports. There we go. So we're on 14 people now. His mum and dad, 2 passports, free healthcare, and free education's no use to a couple of pensioners, but 3 council houses, and what is it? I think I've made it 16 passports. He was very upset that his mother and father-in-law and his cousins weren't able to come with him. Now, what are you talking about there? You are talking about a package for a man who worked in the British Embassy for 18 months that would run into millions. The free healthcare, the free education, university education discounted, 3 council houses, 15 passports, 16 passports, whatever it is. Bonanza. If it was the American embassy offering a job in London where they said, you can work for us for 18 months as chef in the kitchen, we'll give you 16 passports to the United States of America, 3 houses, benefits for life, healthcare, education, the lot, and free university education, you'd bite their hand off. In fact, literally, I would give up my job doing this and being on the TV in exchange for 16 of my relatives to get passports to the United States of America. 18 months working for 20 grand a year, I'd live with that. No problem. Anyway, let's talk. By the way, I don't want to belittle those interpreters who did need to come over to the United Kingdom. But anyway, let's talk now about the relevance of this to the title of the video. Well, there's been a debate in Parliament. The Ministry of Defence initially said that special forces were not involved in the Afghan resettlement scheme. They've now admitted that they are. And what happened was every single application for military personnel was vetted by the SAS and SBS. Precisely how they did that vetting, I don't know, but nonetheless they did it. The end result of this was every single soldier from Afghan special forces that applied to come to the United Kingdom was turned down on security grounds. Now, There is a member of parliament, I'd never heard of him, he's the MP for Tunbridge Wells. Sorry, I'm not being rude. The reason I hadn't heard of him is he's new in. Liberal Democrat, his name is Michael Martin, Dr. Michael Martin. He gained his seat when it was vacated by Greg Clark, who was the Conservative MP. He describes himself as a pro-European, an internationalist, and explicitly pro-green, and also claims to have a strong line on defence. Well, actually, what he said is that WCs, crimes, have been committed by the SAS, and the reason they didn't want these Afghan special forces in the country was they were witness to the bad behaviour of the SAS. Oh, really? Or could it be two things? Point number one, these people were actively dangerous. Have we considered the possibility that the Afghans might have been lying and our own people might have been telling the truth? Of course not. Why would a Liberal Democrat do that? Why would a British Member of Parliament ever stand up for Britain? No, it must be that these are witnesses to the bad behaviour of the SAS. Behaviour, by the way, which has never really been proved. Oh yeah, we've seen evidence, but it's never been proved beyond reasonable doubt. So we're going to say that about them. So they've gone through, they've done their vetting, which is their duty to protect the United Kingdom. And rather than trust their judgment on this, instead we're going to accuse them of crimes. Well, I find it offensive. And not in the, I find it offensive way. I find it ridiculous that we have a major political party, the Liberal Democrats still are a major political party, that would behave in this way. Let me tell you something else. You know, the Afghan resettlement scheme were for people working with British forces, right? Not literally the Afghan army, right? Now we know they've gave up after about 48 hours, but surely they're special forces. Why were we even considering letting them into the country? How do you nation build when the security service has been relocated to Dagenham? It's completely ludicrous, but it's symptomatic of our attitude. And I've railed on this channel about human rights law. Remember Phil Schreiner, who was attempting to stop war one by individually prosecuting soldiers. It was a really disreputable piece of behaviour, and thankfully the Law Society in the end struck him off. But politicians right across the political spectrum have got no respect for the service people that serve this country. I am inclined, believe it or not, to believe that the SAS and the SPS are telling the truth when they decline somebody for entry to the United Kingdom on security grounds. But let me say something else. You know what? Isn't it about time that somebody turned around and went, we're not having him, we're not having him, we're not having him, because they're military-age young men and we think they're dangerous to British national security. We don't do it at Dover, but actually the SAS have done it. But the other point I'd like to make is this. Don't ask these people to do the vetting and then complain when you don't like the results of that vetting. I think that we've got to get a grip on all of this. And I've got nothing but respect, even more respect, for the SAS and SPS, because they appear to be the only people in our immigration system who've ever had any thought or any regard for British national interests, for the protection of our streets, for ensuring that people who are dangerous are not allowed in the United Kingdom. Of course it's controversial with the Liberal Democrats, because the Liberal Democrats believe in completely uncontrolled immigration. Therefore, to them, anything that restricts entry to the United Kingdom for anyone at all is offensive, because they simply believe, as this bloke has said, internationalist, effectively, he believes that everybody in the world is equal and everybody in the world has an equal right to everything else that everybody else has in the world. Now, look, I don't believe that everyone should have an equal right to live in Britain. I don't believe that I should have a right to live in Afghanistan, though I'm not very keen either way. But you know what I mean? Why should our borders be opened up to absolutely everyone? So I want to congratulate the SAS and the SPS, and let this be a reminder to all of us. The Lib Dems are wrong uns and they still haven't disappeared. Until next time, goodbye.